Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to our second episode of Ace Adobe. Once again, we'll be working in Adobe Photoshop and today we will be showing you how to create this by manipulating your layers here. So in the first video, we gave you an overview of this space and all of the different things you can do inside Adobe Photoshop. And so for this week, we're going to be dialing in on the layers panel and showing you how to make this, but also just a few of the different tools that you have over here in this layers panel. So without further ado, let's get started. So I've already opened my project and put in my image, and how I did this was going to File, let me go back to Photoshop, sorry guys, File, and then Place Embedded, and then I chose my image and placed it. And then to make it dark like this, I went to Image Adjustments Brightness and brought the brightness down. But we'll get more into photo adjustments in a later video. So over here, as you see, we have our layers panel, and this will show you, as I mentioned, every single layer that is in your project. Now remember, the way Photoshop works is anything on the top is what will be shown first. So this is on the top, meaning that this is the layer that's showing. If I were to move this one, then the white would be showing, but I'll move that back for now. So just a quick overview of the controls here before we get started. As I mentioned, this is how the layers are set up. These mean that the layer is viewed or not viewed. So to take it off, you just click this and remove the eye icon. To put it back on, you click it again. To make a new layer, you click this plus button. To create a new group, which means putting two layers in the same group, you click that. To create a new fill or adjustment layer, you would click this button. And a fill or adjustment layer basically allows you to make adjustments to a layer without actually directly applying it to that layer. To lock a layer, meaning that you can't move it, it's just going to stay in the same place, you would click the lock icon right here, and that would lock it. To unlock it, click that. To adjust the opacity or the transparency of your layer, you drag this slider, put that back at 100, and then to adjust the screen of your layer, you go here. So dissolve, darken, color burn, multiply, linear burn, lighten. There's just a lot of different adjustments that you can do with these. This one's pretty cool, subtract. And that is the basics of the layers panel. So now we're going to get started into actually creating this design. So I'm going to click my text tool and type "you can," then go back to my selection tool. Then I'm going to drag it out to be the size I want and center it until this pink line shows up right here. And so as you'll see, once I add that text, that is then created as a layer in the layers panel, which I can drag underneath or on top as before. Now, as in this example, you can kind of tell I added a bit of dimension to my project. And I did that by adding a drop shadow. So to add effects to your layers, you press this effects button right here, or if you right click on the layer, you can do blending options, which will give you the same thing. And there's also a bunch of other things here you can do, like duplicating a layer, deleting a layer, exporting it, all sorts of things. So we're just going to go to the effects tool and then drop shadow. That will bring up this layer style panel, which will show you all of the different effects that you can do with your layer. So I'm going to do drop shadow, leave it on the overlay button, play with the opacity, which as you can tell kind of adds depth as I increase it, the distance, so we'll do it like that, ever so slightly. The spread, we'll adjust like that. And these settings will change depending on the text you're working with or what it's on. But that's the basics of drop shadow. It just adds a little shadow behind your text. So in a lot of cases, it can be more visible or it can just add depth. You can also change the color, but we'll leave it on black for now. And click OK. And so now that we have the CAN text set up, we're going to type the Ace Adobe one. And the important thing to remember here is that you want to choose a rounded font. So we are going to do Arial rounded like this. And I'm going to try a light pink shade like that. And then I'm going to duplicate the layer. So how you do that is you go right click, duplicate layer, and you'll see it shows up right here. To rename your layer, you can just double click, but I'm going to leave it on copy for now, but that's how you would change the name of your layer. And for this top layer, I'm going to open the effects panel, go to blending options, and choose inner glow right here. Reset that to default. And so obviously the settings here will depend on what you're working on, but this is generally how you do it. So choose normal for your blend mode. And then for the color, we're actually going to choose a lighter pink, kind of like that. And then I'm going to bring the opacity all the way to 100. Bring no noise. Adjust the choke and the size. You're going to adjust it and play around until you have something generally that looks like this, and then make that actually a bit more pink. Be like that. So until you have something that looks kind of like that, okay. And then for this lower layer, I'm going to apply an outer glow effect. We do not want blue, so we're going to change that to our pink. Make sure it's on the vivid light setting. Bring down the size a whole bunch. Play around with the opacity maybe, and the spread, size, until you have something that generally looks like this. And click OK. And there you have our neon text. So if you go to this other one, you'll see kind of the same look right there. So go back. So there's our neon text, and there are all of our layers. Now let's say I wanted to remove these effects. Just like with hiding the layer, you can also hide the effect. And you can even hide a specific effect. So let's say you didn't want to hide, if we had an outer glow and a drop shadow on here and we only wanted to hide the outer glow, you could just click that to turn it off, and vice versa. And so now that we have our beautiful project set up, our last step, as always, is to export it. So we'll do File, Export As. Let me bring the export panel up here so you can see it. File, Export As. Choose your setting. I'll do PNG. Export. Name it. We'll do Ace Adobe under downloads, export. And then if we go to our downloads folder, we'll see it right there. And so that is the end of our program. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you learned something about working in Adobe Photoshop even more, and we will see you on the next video. Bye guys.